Hey everyone, it's Sarah Fleming from Prepare to Die Papercrafts, and we are going to make one of these fun baker's boxes. And actually, I made this one first. I made this one second, but I didn't like the way the box came out, so that's what we're going to do now. I added some more Granny Apple Green re-inker to the box, or to the spritzer, so I'm going to show you how we do that. And first, we are going to spritz our baker's box because you really want to give it plenty of drying time. And so, like I said, I have a spritzer, a Stampin' spritzer, that has mostly water, and then I added 15 drops of Granny Apple Green re-inker. And we're just going to spritz. I'm actually going to put down another sheet of paper so that we don't make a mess. Okay, so we're just going to start spritzing. There's some nice color. I'm going to do the same here. And I'm going to just do this. Yep, that looks good. And then I'm going to take this piece of paper. We're going to move that to the side. And we will bring that back after it's dry. So I'm gonna take this off because it's wet. All right, so today we're making the tag for the box too, and I'm using the stamp set Cauldron Bubble and then the Cauldron Framelits. These are really good. They coordinate with both the stamp set and the designer series paper, and I'm going to show you how that works. But the very first thing we need to do is stamp a tag. And I have a strip of Whisper White paper, and it's 2 inches wide. And I'm going to stick that down with the magnet, which is over here. And so we're going to stamp that in Gorgeous Grape. And you just really, with the buffalo check stamp, I mean, it's gorgeous, but it is a little bit fiddly, I'm not going to lie. But really, I have the best results with the Stamparatus, stamping multiple times. And I should have put a piece of scrap paper down, but I didn't. Oh, that already looks pretty good, so we'll just do one more stamping, and that'll probably take care of it. Because with the Stamparatus, you're stamping in exactly the same spot. That's perfect. So, set this aside. I will clean it later. And we will die cut that in a minute. But first, we have some other stamping to do. I have, let me look at the correct box, the box that we're actually making. I kept looking at the other box. Okay, so I've got a little strip. That's our little strip. So this little strip is what we're going to stamp our trick or treat on. And that is going to be in Granny Apple Green. And I have lined up the stamp so that it's squared with the edges. And I'm going to stamp kind of up here and just try to line the top of the block up with the top of the cardstock. But since I can't stick my head right over the top of it, I don't know if I'm going to get it. Oh, that looks pretty good, actually. And then I've got some stars. Those come from the same stamp set. I'm stamping those in Mango Melody. Down here, we're going to put the frog over the little stars. And then I'm going to stamp the little froggy. He's so cute. In Granny Apple Green. And we're going to die cut him out. Okay, so those are done. Actually, I'm going to clean them so I don't get ink all over something else. Okay, and so we're ready to cut on that, and we are ready to bring the Big Shot over. Okay, first I'm going to cut the tag, and I have a die from the Confetti and Candles framelits that goes with the Blow Out Your Candles stamp set. And this is just a tag topper die. We also have the scallop tag topper punch, but I wanted an angular tag. and not a pretty scallop. I think the angular just goes better with the Halloween. So I'm just making sure that I've got the tag the same length or the same width as the die, which is 2 inches. And so then it cuts out the hole and angles the tag at the same time. I love that die. And then I'll show you the piece of paper. This is the witch's hat paper that's from the Toil Trouble paper. It's so adorable, and you can cut it out with the framelits. Am I even in the frame? Let me move this over. Okay, so you can cut the witch's hat out with the framelits, and you can also cut the stamped images out with the framelits. So that is, I love it when Stampin' Up does that, when they make the framelits and the stamp, or when they make the framelits cut the stamps and dies. And then while I'm here, I'm also going to cut out our little froggy. This is a tiny die, so I kind of have to find the right spot for it so it doesn't get dragged by the magnets. But I just usually move the die in the direction of where it's trying to go. Oh wait, while we're at it, let's cut the spider web too. You stay there. Okay, so one of the framelits is a spider web, and it's really cute, and I'm using the black foil paper. You can see it's shiny. So we're going to cut all 3 of these at the same time. Okay, so now we have our tag, and I'm going to bring in the trimmer and trim it down, and go a little bit more than 3.5 inches. Trim that off. I love the buffalo check in the purple. I don't know why, but that seems to be my favorite. I also like it in the granny apple green. Okay, so now we're just going to layer a bunch of stuff on this tag. And the first thing that goes down is the spider web. I tore the spider web when I was getting the little bits out. I don't think that's happened to me before with the spider web. But anyway, but it's hiding, so that's fine. So we're just going to glue it down right there. And I forgot to get a wet baby wipe over here to clean my fingers of all the glue. And then now we're going to put down a strip of Mango Melody. I have that here, and we are using the Banner Triple Punch to kind of trim that down. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and snip off a lot of it. This is 1 inch wide, and yep, that'll be perfect. So we're going to take off some of this, and then take off a little bit here. So we could probably take off a little more. And then, so then the finished one ends up being about 2 3/4. And then we're going to stamp the stars on that again. Oh, I put them away while I was big shotting, I believe. Okay. So we're just stamping the stars straight down the sides, and we're stamping in Mango Melody on Mango Melody cardstock. And so these baker's boxes would be good for putting something like giant donuts or giant cookies or big or little mini cupcakes. You could do like 4 little mini cupcakes. So I'm going to glue the little Mango Melody piece down. Actually, let me get it layered up before I glue anything down. And I have a tag, which I've stamped, which is hiding from me. So we'll flag that. And then a little bit more. I just kind of am eyeballing, because that's what I do. Okay, and then we're going to stick the little frog on with a baby dimensional. I'm trying this new thing where I keep everything in a bucket so that I don't bury it during my video, but then I have to dig for it in the bucket. So, move you over a tiny bit. Okay, so there's our adorable little frog. And I'm going to trim off a little bit more on this end. Okay, so there we go. And then we're going to put that on with dimensionals. I'll go here. So just overlapping, kind of center the overlap, and then glue that down. And I love all the different little witches hats that you get in the designer series paper. They're so adorable. You can also color them with the blends, and I have done that, and I've made some pretty cute little witches hats actually. And so then we're just going to put that down, and we're going to put dimensional here and a little baby right there. And then we're going to put a dimensional under the side. And then this will be glued down. So we're just overlapping kind of the top of that. And it's okay if your dimensionals come off the edge here, because whenever you, well, actually that little baby one's too far. So that's fine there. And then we're going to assemble our box. Hopefully it's dry, but if not, we'll just blot it so that we can get it done. That's my next project you just heard flying out of the box that it's waiting in. Okay, so we'll blot just a little bit on these parts that aren't dry yet. And I kind of think that looks cool when you end up, I like that it leaves kind of the darker spots. I still think I could have added a few more drops. The first time I tried it, I had 6 drops in there, and it looked like it was going to come out great. But then when it dried so light. And then with 15, I think I could still get more. So we're going to fold up the box. Just fold in on all of the score lines. The boxes are scored for you. And you don't need adhesive on them. If you want, you could add some tear and tape if you're worried that something's going to pop open or whatever. But we're going to tie it up pretty well, so it's not really necessary for what we're doing. So there are little tabs here, or little tabs and little holes that the tabs fit into. So those go in here. Let's see, and that keeps that in place. And then we'll close up our box. Don't forget to put your food or whatever you're putting in there in first. You could even do, like, if you had some really big Post-it note pads and you found someone who really likes office supplies, like me. I love office supplies. So stick that in there, and then your box is done. And now we're going to use the ribbon. Oh, this ribbon is so pretty. This is the black, basic black, the 3/8 inch organdy ribbon, or glittered organdy ribbon. Look how pretty that is. Whew. It's so gorgeous. Okay, so we're going down first, or down the front first. And we're going to twist these up on the bottom. If you're overlapping and twisting ribbon on the bottom of your box, just make sure you do it pretty tightly so you don't get a big bump that your box has to overcome. But once you have stuff in this box, it'll be fine anyway. And then I usually slip it under on boxes. And then slip this one under too. So I'm sorry I have to cut you. You're so pretty. I don't want to cut you. This ribbon is kind of hard to use because it's so pretty that you just don't want to. You're like, oh, but I need to save it for something that I'll need later. But, oh, look how pretty that is even before you tie a bow. And it's the little edges of the ribbon are pretty stiff, which is nice. So you could just thread your tag right on. I stuck that on my wet chamois. You can just thread it on when you're tying, but I like to put it on with some, oh, I didn't bring out my baker's twine. So I like to put it on, I like to tie under the whole thing. Of course, this makes it harder to open back up. This is basic black baker's twine. Okay, and let's put a little spider on there. These spiders are so adorable. You get 12 of them in the little package. Now, if you order my suite shares, you get 6 because you get half of all of the consumable things that are in the suite, including the cardstock and paper and the spiders and the ribbon. So you get a half order of all of those. And then if you want, you can add on stamps and dies and okay. The spider wants to jump around. You can, if you want to, you can get a glue dot and stick it under that spider so he'll stay in place, but I really kind of like him dangling around and moving, especially if they don't know there's a little moving spider on there. You might give them a little scare. It's kind of fun. And then you can stick a dimensional under the tag so that it kind of stays in place on the box. And I put it on the wrong spot. I was supposed to put it over here on the front, and I put it on the back. So don't be like me. Be smarter than me and put it on the front. And there's our baker's box.